JJ the CPA here. Stimulus negotiations are off the rails right now. Everybody's talking about it. Check it out. Google it. Go over and Google what's going on, not necessarily only looking at YouTube videos. But everybody is shaking their head because we know that just 36, 48 hours ago, depending on when you're watching this, Trump announced very clearly that the stimulus talks were over and nothing would be passed until after the election. He indicated clearly that he was having his negotiators to be withdrawn. Well, those tweets, I'm not able to find them, so they've been deleted. I think the political fallout was massive. Republicans, of course Democrats, but Republicans were baffled and frustrated and critical of that. And rightfully so. Even if you're just looking at this politically, it was really a kind of a dumb move politically. Now, Trump being a negotiator, and many of you in the video that I put together that said no stimulus commented, and many of you, like me, were very, very frustrated. There were a handful of you that indicated that, well, Trump being a negotiator, this is probably some tactic. Kind of like, when you're going to buy a car and you don't like the price and they won't budge and you say, okay, well, I'm out of here. And so you walk off the lot, so to speak. So clearly Trump was doing we're just walk off the lot. I'm not praising it. I'm definitely not praising it. Definitely was a tactic though, clear, because what Trump started talking about late yesterday and after the VP debates yesterday and into this morning is, well, we're back at the table. And what Trump is indicating is to do piecemeal bills. Now, the White House has been indicating that since May. Why don't we just have a bill related to the stimulus checks, one related to unemployment, one related to PPP, one related to the airlines, and one related to states and schools, break this up, come to determinations. My understanding is the Democrats, Pelosi, are not interested in that. They want it all to be in one. So with that being said, negotiations appear to be back up and running. There's still a push for individual bills. The Trump administration, Trump is making a hard run that stimulus checks can be sent out now. There's leftover money from the CARES Act, so let's just use that, which is a fact. And from the perspective that I have, I'm probably where you are, which is I've kind of, my hands are raised up. I mean, I've been putting together hopefully good quality stimulus updates, not based on trying to have you click on my video, i.e. clickbait, but trying to provide stimulus updates since July on Wednesday. I mean, really the whole time. In May when the HEROES Act came and they were doing things in June and July. But I've kept going, okay, well, if they're doing this and they're this, it might be this time. We're doing this, it might be this. I mean, now we're in October. So I don't have an opinion of when the stimulus may come about. I don't know that I've ever given you an indication of, okay, well, it's going to be this date and you'll have your checks this date. I don't think I've ever said that. Well, what I'm saying now is I have no clue. I'm not even going to predict in any way, shape, or form when we're going to have the stimulus. I do feel like everything's still on the table. PPP, the unemployment, the stimulus checks, the airlines, the states. So by golly, pass it already. What can you do? Contact your congressperson, contact your senator, and say, get the stimulus done. Get it done. So coming up next week, the week of October 12th, is when the hearings start in the Senate related to the confirmation or expected to be confirmation of the next Supreme Court justice. So the Republicans will be tied up with that. Of course, there's really just a small number of senators, Republicans and Democrats, that are going to be tied into that because it's not the whole Senate involved in those hearings. But nonetheless, I think that we're maybe back to where It's Pelosi and the White House that are talking. We see lots of discussion being reported of where the Secretary of the Treasury is now back directly talking to Pelosi. Now, maybe that really never ended other than the half a day that Trump said, hey, we're walking away. We're not going to do anything. We won't do anything until after the elections. And so at the end of the day, there still is negotiation going on, which I think is good news one way or another. It's good news that things are continuing. So hopefully they'll pass it soon. Just note that once something's passed, then the president has to sign it. And then it's usually going to be a couple of weeks after that before there's actually any stimulus that would hit your bank account, i.e. the stimulus checks. Unemployment would probably be 2 to 3 to 4 weeks before the states get their funding, make sure they're up to speed on how it's getting paid out, and then for you to actually go and apply for it, because it will require you to reapply for unemployment. It's not going to be automatic to you just because you were on it and it ended, or you're on it currently. So there's going to be that process. So once it's signed into law for unemployment, it's 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks potentially before money's hitting bank accounts on that. And then related to PPP, assuming they only add a qualifier to get PPP round 2, meaning if the requirements to determine the amount of PPP that you can get remains the same, meaning the banks can rely on the existing rules, laws, determinations from the SBA of here's how much somebody gets when they get PPP. But if all they do is add a qualifier, which would be you have to show that you have been economically affected by the COVID, well, that will require banks to get up to speed on that. It's going to require more information from potential borrowers coming up with their financial. So I've said it before, but in case we have new subscribers that hadn't heard, the thing you want to do is get your financial statements up to date through September, through third quarter 2020. There's going to be a comparison from 2020 to 2019. It'll be either quarter to quarter matchup or comparison, or it could be a combination of months, which may not follow a traditional quarter. And so really what you can do to be prepared is have your financials up to date so you know what your gross income is for this year. For self-employed, know what it is by simply looking at your bank statement. If you're not keeping financial statements, you'll need to prove to the bank, assuming they have this qualifier, which it appears they will. But that will take time for the banks to get up to speed, for more information to be provided to the banks, for then PPP to be approved, and then the period of time for the PPP to hit a bank account. So all to say that for PPP and unemployment, most likely we'd be looking at late November into December, assuming that something got passed here in the next couple of weeks or before the election. Hopefully stimulus checks before the end of November. All right, hey, if you made it to here, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, and then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. Have a great day.